All right. So what I'm doing in this live stream is I have ditched the GoPro and I'm just streaming from my phone. I've had issues for the past couple of weeks trying to get that GoPro to use the hotspot on my phone, and it's just been really choppy and sketchy. So hopefully this works out. $38. One thing that I didn't really care for in trying to set this up was the fact that it looks like it's zoomed in too much. There we go. That's a shotgun head stamp. Whoops. Shotgun head stamp. So we'll see how this one goes. Hopefully it works out. So this permission is new. It's old farm field. Been in the family for a long, long time. So this was a farm field 300 years ago, and I don't believe anyone's ever metal detected it. So there's just no telling what's on it. $49.50. Still in the hole. Oh, there we go. That's a modern bullet casing to a .308 rifle. All right, we'll keep going. One thing I'm seeing is not seeing any chat showing up on my screen. I've got the phone horizontal. $56, $57. Looks like it's in the plug. going to be a pull tab. Yeah, so yesterday I dug a lot of aluminum here, but I was kind of tied to certain areas I didn't really get to branch out and detect because I was trying to find the best place with good signal so the wouldn't freeze, but I have a feeling it's going to be aluminum. I can see on my 2D screen right here, it may give you good numbers, but the way it shows up on the screen right there, good targets are like a solid circle, but if it's flattened out and just kind of sketchy, like right there, you can see a solid dot. That's a solid target. But you see there how it's all flattened out. That's more than likely going to be trash, like a can, aluminum. Yeah, see, it's kind of flattened out. And then it just gets really, really funky. When I change directions, you see how it's just all streaked out like that. So it's not something I would necessarily stop and dig. Now that looks good. You can see how it's a solid target right there, a solid dot. So we'll give that one a shot. Looks like it's in the plug. Hey Mike, I saw your comment pop up just for a second, but then it disappeared. Yeah, he said the quality is kind of low. I don't know if that's my pinpointer hitting on another target. So it doesn't seem to be the one that I just located and dug. Yeah, this is aluminum that's up on the surface, so I don't think that's what my detector was hitting, but we'll see. Yeah, looks like it was. So with 30, that looks like a good signal. And it looks somewhat deep, so we'll check that one out. I think it's still going to be in the hole. Aluminum. All right. So yesterday I found a 1945 Indian head. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm saying that. I wish it was a 1945 wheat penny and an awful lot of aluminum. The family says that there's arrowheads that they found over the years in these fields. There's just a lot of different areas of this permission to detect. That's a pretty good one. And a 60. We can dig that one. Looks like it's in the plug. Ah, see that? Sticking out right there. .30-06. All right, we'll keep going. It's a good target. Looks like maybe I didn't. Ah, see that? I can see right there. Another 30-06. On to the next. So up ahead, there's a big area like of woods protruding out into the field. I talked about yesterday in the live stream I did on a different part of this field. Same thing. And I went and explored it, and there's an old stone foundation. A lot of times, these fields that you drive by, you'll see some of them just have like a circle, like a round area in the middle of the field that's just woods. And a lot of times that's an old home site that has been grown over. Let's see. We'll try that one. Yeah, that looks like a good one. We'll give that one a shot. I think I can see right there. The culprit. Well, it's not a soda can. It's kind of older aluminum or tin or something. Oh, well. Keep going. Hey, Mike, I just saw your comment. Yeah, I'm hoping that just streaming through my phone, it does the trick. I've been trying for 2 weeks and just linking the GoPro through my phone's hotspot has just been horrible. So, although I do like the shot that you get with the GoPro, I wear a neck harness that holds a GoPro up a little higher. What I've got right now is a chest mount, and it just puts it down. For my liking, it puts the camera down just a little bit too low. But yeah, that neck harness is pretty cool. You can hook a GoPro, a phone, or whatever you want up to it. Problem is with using it right now to do a live stream, you can't see the screen, so you can't see the chat or when people are trying to comment. Okay, I see what you said, Mike. I went through a lot of different mounts trying to figure out which one worked the best. I used a head mount, chest, just a lot of different ones. And the one I finally settled on I love it. It just is quick, easy. It's flexible. It goes around your neck. I've got it. If you go to Amazon, I think it's amazon.com/NC Dirt Hunter. I've got my own Amazon page, and I've got that under the section of, I think, social media accessories. that's the first thing you're going to see actually from the page is the neck mount that I use. Come on, I got something in there. Yep, I can feel it there. Bottle cap. Bottle cap. Yeah, the Amazon page is pretty cool. I've got sections for the gear, the actual metal detecting gear that I use, a section for social media accessories, things I use to film and edit and all of that. And then I've got a section I just added the other day that says great resources. And there I've got books, like the things you need to identify different things, like a button book, a book to help identify Civil War bullets, belt buckles, well, that's a good signal. Excited about it, but we'll see. I want to try if this phone is working out with the live streaming. I've got some really good Civil War battleground locations that I film a lot for the videos that I put out on YouTube, but I think it'd be cool to do a live stream and kind of dig that stuff live. I did the other day, it worked through my GoPro. It was super choppy, but I did dig a Williams cleaner Civil War bullet, so I was excited about that. But yeah, I like the putting out videos like that you actually edit and work on, and I think they look clean. But I've always wanted to do the live streams. Squirrels magnet fishing and outdoors. How are you doing? I love all the magnet fishers out there. I follow a lot of magnet fishing groups and YouTube pages. I just think it's interesting. I've never done it personally, but it looks really interesting. And there's just a lot of questions that I have about it. That if I ever went out with someone, I know they'd be able to answer all of them. But there we go. Stupid thing. Another soda can. Yes, when things accumulate at my house, like once a year, and I have to make a dump run, I hate it. I have to make a dump run right now, and I've been putting it off for weeks. But that's just kind of what's stuck in my head with magnet fishing, is that at the end of your day, you're like hauling off a bunch of scrap metal. So I know I'm missing something because everyone has a lot of fun doing it. So here's this clump of trees I'll show you. Put my detector down for a second. So here's this clump of trees just kind of in the sticking out from this field. The owners clear cut a bunch of these trees. I thought they were doing it to, build houses and stuff, but luckily he said they're not. They just did it. I don't know if the trees were diseased, but he says they're replanting pines here, which is cool. They don't want to give up the property to development. And there's an area just like this with the clear-cut trees that just wraps all the way around. So I am curious to get in there and explore a little. It would be challenging detecting it inside all of that, but you never know what you can find. So what is this? Got some high tones in there. Here, I'm gonna get rid of this stuff sticking up. Yeah, it doesn't look like a good target now that I clear some of the stuff out of the way. So up here on the corner, I've got this field, and the property line goes all the way up to the corner of an intersection, and at that intersection, it's a really old house. I've always wanted to metal detect it, but right on the corner, it's got like an old gas station, is what it looks like. You see those a lot. Well, you can see remnants of them, but back in the day, there were a lot of local little tiny gas stations or general stores. But I think that would be kind of cool to detect around. So we're kind of at the edge of this field right here. Usually when you're in the edge of a field, it's where the tractors do their turnaround a lot with the plows and everything. So it tends to dump a lot of trash right there. So I try to stay away from that's going to be aluminum. I try to stay away from the edges of fields. Although I know you could, if it's pulling things to the outside, dragging it out of the field, then you can obviously have relics too. So there was soybeans in this field over the summer. Soybeans aren't bad after they plow the field. You do get some remnants of the stalks sticking up. Well, here's a good example right here. And when you swing your detector and your coil hits it, it'll sound off with usually like a high tone. It's called swing noise. So you run into that a little bit, but a field that had soybeans in it is really not bad. The worst, in my opinion, the absolute worst is a cotton field. Even after they've cleaned it up, harvested everything. It just has stalks of those plants everywhere. Cornfields kind of the same way, but yeah, cotton fields are tough. Looks like we've got some place where the water kind of comes down and has cut out some of the soil. This is a good place like that to find arrowheads. Maybe sticking out of the sides. All right, let's head back the other direction. Looks like I dug here yesterday. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get out to detect until probably Tuesday, day after Christmas. But I want to head to some of my Civil War locations and dig some relics. On 2 of them, I kind of nailed down a section of these giant fields where there seemed to be a lot of activity, and I discovered that through doing research of who was where and when. So I want to get back now that I've kind of figured it out and I'm not blindly going around this giant field. Two different fields that are close to each other. Both I found relics in them. I found a piece of the lead backing to a belt plate. That's my bucket list. Number 1 on my bucket list would be a Confederate belt plate, belt buckle. Number 2 is a Union. But I found the lead backing of it. Nothing else around it. That was the only thing in the hole. But I mean, the other piece could seriously be out in that field. What do we have here? Good numbers, but I don't like what I'm seeing on the screen right there. You can see how it's kind of streaked, and it's not a totally round symbol. You can see that on this Manticore. you want to see just a tight dot right there on the line. If it's streaked, if it's garbled, like I said, but a lot of times, just to double check, I'll go ahead and dig it just to verify, and usually I'm right. Well, I shouldn't say I'm right, the Manticore is right. Come on, where is it? Yeah, there's going to be iron down in there. So here's another clue. You can see I've got it right here. If I move back and I move forward and I'm still getting the signal, then that tells you that there's some length on that target, which is usually like a soda can. If you're looking for a coin or usually an individual relic, it's going to be right there. So you turn and it's right there. So if you see a target like that and you kind of move it forward and you're still seeing it, then that's telling you that it's not a tight, solid target. Now you can go dig a sword, a bayonet, something like that. Here's a good target right here. .63. But here I can show you this one is close to the surface. Usually the ones that are close to the surface are going to be just like soda cans, pieces of aluminum. See that? Piece of aluminum. So when they're deep, tend to be better. Not always, obviously, but so with this new field, I haven't dug enough to kind of figure it out. On a lot of my permissions that I spend a lot of time in, you can kind of figure things out a little bit just by what you're digging, where you're digging it. You try to get as much history as you can from the owner, and research and do your own history. Like I look up property on the clerk recorder's website for the county, and I can search deeds, old deeds, and go from one deed to the older one before that, and keep going back as far as you can. And you can learn a lot that way. Here in North Carolina, it seems that, from what I found here in Johnston County, that's the biggest county in the state, but it looks like the deeds kind of disappeared and were just written in these big books. So you can't really search them online after from my experience, if it's kind of like the mid 1800s, they tend to stop there. And I've gone to the courthouse and I've looked in these books, and they're really big, they're really old. All the handwriting looks really cool. There's notes in the margins, but it's been my experience that you're not, I mean, there just seems to be no rhyme or reason to it. So you can just, so if you're looking for something specific, I don't know that you're going to find it, because it's like each home that sold or whatever, it's just like they write it in the next line of the book. So this looks like it's still in the hole. Mid 30s. Yeah, we're still in there. But yeah, on permissions, you want to try to get as much history as you can. A lot of times you can get that from the property owners. I know it's not that way in a lot of parts of the country. Luckily, it is in the South that families, you know, you have a lot of family property, so piece of aluminum. You have a lot of family property, so they know the history of it, which is really good. And you want to learn as much as you can. I've had people, you know, tell me as much as they remember, but then they tell me stories that they heard from their grandfather, different things like that of what may have happened on the property, if there were old barns or just. But yeah, you can get a lot of good information. We lost, boys. How are you doing? I had one permission that it's family land. The woman is in her late 80s, and she knew that her grandfather or great-grandfather had a sawmill on the property and an old house. She didn't know how far back it went. She knew for sure 1800s, early 1800s even. But in the relics that I found there, I found relics from the 1700s, early 1700s. So that was kind of cool for the family to kind of add a little bit to their story. But yeah, when you can find things that you know, like buttons, that you can date to a certain period. All right, this is kind of deep, 46. We'll see what we got. Still in the hole. So Christmas is on Monday. So what's today, Friday? Yeah, so I'm assuming most people, today is their last day of work. Get a long weekend. Like I said, after today, I think I'm gonna be homebound until probably Tuesday. I got a lot of footage. I've got to make some more, put some more videos out. I got to edit them. I've got a lot of footage from a lot of hunts that just need to be put together into a video form. I think I dropped it. Where are you? Oh, there it is. So what are you? That is super old lead. Yeah, that's old lead. I mean, that could potentially, it almost looks like it's like from an old musket ball. And yeah, it's lead, but you can see on it, grab me, turn where the sun is on it. Yeah, so you can see a brown crust on it. Underneath that brown crust, if you were to clean it, you're going to see the white oxidized lead. So that doesn't happen overnight. That's what you find in Civil War bullets, like Revolutionary War era musket balls. Same thing. You got that brown crust, and then you clean that up, and you see the white. Yeah, that's why you always see the Civil War bullets if you look them up. I mean, I don't know, wherever you see pictures of them, they're always white. That's that oxidized lead. So that's kind of cool. That didn't get fired yesterday for sure. That's old. Obviously, it hit something hard, deformed it. But yeah, that's a really old musket ball. So we will put that in the fines box. I gotta clean my fines box out. I've got stuff from different hunts, all Civil War stuff. Bullets. That's an old clasp, an old buckle off of a Civil War soldier's knapsack. That little buckle, that was cool. So anyhow, that was not bad. And you know where I found this, right where I'm at, is kind of right in the area where I found that old wheat penny yesterday. So I will try to kind of circle around, stay in this area and see. Hey, Merry Christmas to you too. All right, let's check this out. Mid 40s, could be a lot of different things. Buttons, like the Civil War bullets. Looks like it's still in the hole. I'm about 3 feet. Yeah, about 5 feet from where I dug that musket ball just now. So, you know what? That's old tin. Old piece of tin. So, on to the next. like to find some high tones. Well, that's not bad. That's a good target to dig right there. 54, 56. It's a nice solid dot right there on the screen. All right, let's see what this is. It's in the plug. Doggone it. Right there. Pull tab. So on YouTube, I put out a two-part video. Well, it's two videos, part one, part two. But it was of a kind of a day and a half of detecting a Civil War era property, and I found some really good stuff. I found so much stuff I had to split it up into two videos. So if you check that out, I think it says Metal Detecting Civil War Battleground, part one and part two. I think the video turned out well. Just a simple fact that I found some cool stuff. So I'm kind of getting close to this area where they clear cut a lot of the woods. But it looks like this is like the world's biggest fire pit. I'll show you. Like this whole section. Looks like they burned a ton of old trees. So, a lot of runoff right here. Again, this would be a good place to find arrowheads. What the heck is that? Nah. Yeah, just as I said that, I saw that sticking up out of the ground. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I was detecting where a Civil War battle had happened, and I dug a small little buckle, like a little knapsack buckle, And as I dug it, I'm knelt down right next to the hole. I look down and there's a really cool arrowhead sticking there right on top of the sand. Tip was broken off, but still it was unexpected. Okay, 39. Looks like a solid target right there. So we'll dig it. Just get down in the hole. I think I can feel it right now. Feels like a soda can. No, it's not a soda can, but it's old. Some old tin. So I keep my pinpointer on vibrate. I do that just because when I just don't like the sound, that loud sound. You're out in the middle of an empty field and sound travels. Same thing with I wear headphones. But I just don't like drawing attention to myself. And that's a good sound. 73, that's a high tone. I don't know, that's weird. Now it's looking like it's on the surface. We'll dig it anyways. Get down and dig it out. So I don't know what it's like with you guys, but I'm just kind of weird like that. I just like to get the permissions that I have. I tell the people that, my goal is to get in, metal detect, carry out my trash, bury my holes, and get out of there without you even knowing I was there. People tend to like that when you tell them that. I just don't want to be intrusive. I picture letting people come in and metal detect my yard or my property. It's just kind of a weird thing. So I have that in my head when I'm detecting other people's. Now, see, what is this? That is going to be aluminum. That's like an old, how do I say old? But that's like the aluminum tubing, like for a brake line or something. So. Anyhow, I don't know if you guys are like that. I just like to be quiet when I'm detecting. I just feel weird. I'm on someone else's property, and even though I have permission, I have a good relationship with a lot of the owners of my permissions, but I just want to keep it down and not be intrusive at all. That's got potential. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be anything special. Yeah, it's out of the hole. Piece of wire. Something. It's got a sharp end on it. So is it just me? Are you guys like that too? When you're out detecting on someone else's property? I mean, I'm supposed to be there, but for me, I just kind of feel like I'm intruding. My dad was visiting for Thanksgiving, and we went out quite a bit metal detecting. He's pretty new to it. We had a good time. But we went out to one of my Civil War permissions, and he didn't like wearing earphones. He took out my CTX 3030. Yeah, look at that. He didn't like wearing earphones, but I told him, I said, you gotta do it, just because we're gonna be detecting. I don't know, we were hundreds of yards away from the owner's house, and the owner's totally cool, but I just said I don't want them sitting inside hearing the beeping of a metal detector, so gotta bring the earphones. So as soon as we got out there, started putting our gear on at the truck, what do you think I forgot at home? Yeah, forgot my earphones. So I had to detect with my detector beeping and everything. Not a big deal. I know the owners don't care, but for me, all right, let's look for some high tones here. Did I find much? You mean today? Today or the day I'm talking about? Today, no, not so far. But the day that I took my dad out there where I didn't have my earphones, I found a musket ball that was Civil War, fired during the Civil War. Yeah, today, no. Well, actually, I found a musket ball. So that's not bad. Still in the hole. Yeah, I'm happy the signal is working out with my phone, being able to live stream with it. I wish I had the video, the screen view of my GoPro. It sits back a lot more. I think it's easier to watch for a viewer, but nonetheless, it doesn't work. So it's no good if it doesn't work. So I'm just happy I can move around a little bit more today. And what are we looking at? Yeah, the musket ball was cool. See, for me, I call it, like if I get a new permission, I'll say, well, I need to go prove the ground. And to me, what I need to, you get as much history as you can from the owner and your own research, but it's different. If you're out detecting a property and you don't know what's there, you kind of been told or you kind of expect what could be there. But it's not until you get out there and actually start finding things where you can kind of put the story together. Like this ancient pull tab. But yeah, once you're out there, you're finding stuff, you're kind of piecing together where the activity was on the property, the age of the activity on the property. So you go out there thinking, having an idea of what occurred out there, but I haven't really proved it. So that's kind of what this is. This is a brand new permission, so that musket ball's cool. That kind of puts a date to it. Another thing with this property, according to the owners, is old stage road went right through here. There's more property across the road that they own. But they said that the old stage road in the 1800s came right through here and cut through the field. So as long as you know there were people where you're detecting, it's worth detecting. Because you never know what you're going to find or what they dropped. $45, $46. So I have a video on my YouTube channel. and I'm not remembering what the heck it's called. It's probably within the last 4 videos that I put out. But I found a button with a logo on it that I had never seen. And after researching it, you'll have to watch the video, but it is pretty darn cool what that logo ended up being from. Because I had no idea, and it was super cool. So here's the sidewall of this bullet casing. Is that like a 243 or something? I can't see. Oh no, that's a 223. So anyhow, go watch that video. I found a couple other things. Yeah, it's probably within the last. It's not the 2 videos that I just put out, the part 1, part 2. I can't remember. Like I said, within the past, let's say 4 videos. But that was super cool to find that button and to figure out what it was from. All right, those are some high tones, but like that looks decent. How it's kind of, you want it to be a solid target. Like you see that dot right there next to it. That's a good target. But if that image starts looking like that and just getting all squirrely, it's not worth digging. And then up here on the top line right here that's shaded out, that's for iron. Now, see, that's going to be close to the surface too. So watch, this is close to the surface, so this is more than likely going to be aluminum. I would love to be wrong, but that's usually surface finds are usually that. Still buzzing, still right there in the hole. Yeah, see? I can see part of it. Yep. What is that? Miller beer is what that is. So if you dig it, you got to carry it out. I hate that. I've seen situations where you're metal detecting where people have been before and you find chunks of iron left on top of the ground. Good sure way to lose your permission when they run that over with their lawnmower. But it's just tacky. It's just, you don't do that metal detecting. If you dig it, you got to haul it out. See, that's pretty close to the surface too. I was detecting a good Civil War location. That's a good signal. That's a really good number. That's a silver number. It could also be copper, brass, and unfortunately sometimes aluminum. But that's a really good target to dig. Yeah, that's a screaming number. Doggone. Well, it's not a beer can, but that's still aluminum. Man. So I was detecting a really good Civil War battle area, and I was away from my truck. And I dug this. It was iron. I knew it was iron, and it was long. Detecting it, it had some length on it. So I was thinking rifle, sword, something like that. And it ended up being this, I don't know if it was like a pry bar or something, but that thing weighed a ton. But I dug it. I've also seen where people have started to uncover a target. They see it's a beer can or something, so they just close the hole up. That's not cool either. But yeah, I had to stop and walk this stupid iron bar back to my truck and then head back out to where I was. So we got this pond here. I'll show you. This would probably be a really cool hunting area. I've seen some geese floating around and flying out of it, but it's kind of grass all around this. So this wasn't farm field, or isn't part of the farm field. So obviously, whenever we're detecting, we are, whether we like it or not, we're ambassadors for the hobby. So you got to do the right thing. Because you're going to not only ruin it for yourself, but you're going to ruin it for people in the future, because people just have a bad taste in their mouth. I talked to a guy, an old guy who owns some property where a Civil War battle happened, and anyone would kill to detect that property. But he had a bad experience with, he said, were two guys wanting to metal detect his field. You know, he liked talking about the history and everything. So he said when they came by, he was going to let them detect. But he said, hey, let me show you what I've just picked up out of the farm field over the last, 60 years. So he took these guys. This was his story. He's got a little shed in his backyard, and he took these guys into the shed and showed them all these different things. He had cannonballs, he had buckles. It was just like a lot of cool relics. And he was showing it off, and he said, yeah, you guys can come metal detect. He said it was the first time he had ever shown that stuff off in his shed. And he said the next day it was gone. He said someone had come and stolen his relics. So he always attributed that to the two guys that wanted to metal detect. So ever since then, he has not had a high opinion of metal detectorists. And that's a sad story, because that's just not cool. That's criminal, and it just gives everyone a bad name. And we talked for a long time. But yeah, he said no, he did not want anyone detecting. What is this? Come on now, let's get this out and get onto another hole. I just don't think this is... I don't know, I'm feeling it. Wanting to vibrate down there, but I'm starting to get deep. Yeah, it just sounds real sketchy, like it's not a solid target. I'm done with this hole. One thing I've also found with property owners when it comes to the Civil War locations, you know, I tell them, and it's the truth, I would never sell anything that I found metal detecting. To me, I mean, it's just, if you find it, it's yours, if that's the agreement, but that I found that people that have land like that they're not cool if you're wanting to do it just to turn around and sell whatever you found. So I don't know, you guys might have different opinions on that, but I think I would sell not old, but if I was beach detecting and I found a nice diamond ring or something, I would sell that. That's pretty much it, I guess, for beach detecting. Let's walk into this burned out area for a second. That's a bunch of iron. Now, if you see this, that's old brick. So there was an old structure here at one time. I don't know how old, but see, there's other red brick, and then you got this old wood. That was to something. So I don't know. It could be a house, could be a barn. But yeah, something old was here. Man, this thing is just, I can tell it's just got a ton of old nails in it, or iron. Yeah, there's something old and rusty. Man, lots of noise in here. That's not a bad sound to dig. 83. That could be like silver coins. Aside from it being aluminum, that could be silver coins. That could be a penny in that number. The high 70s, 80s. Looks like it got it out of the hole. Where are you? It's like right there. Ah, man. Let's see. See the comment there? Because these comments, I'm sorry guys, but these, having my phone sideways and horizontal, it doesn't play the, it doesn't show me the chats. So I see Diggin' Daryl, what program are you using today? So with me in the Manticore, by the way, here's our pot of gold. With the Manticore, I don't do anything fancy with it. I have it on, my settings are just, I'm in multi-frequency. I don't do anything fancy. 2 region all tones. I don't mess with the discrimination. I'm in, I don't ground balance. It's automatic. I don't ground balance. I noise cancel, but I don't do a ground balance. So all-terrain general is what I stick with. But with the Manticore, I had the CTX 3030 before, and it's all screen. Like this has the 2D screen, but the CTX, the whole display is the screen. So you not only see your numbers pop up, but you see where, you kind of see it, what it's doing on your screen. Is it a solid dot? Is it kind of just garbled, like streaks across the screen? But going to the Manticore was cool. It's not only really light compared to the CTX, but you've got the numbers, but then you also have that half of the screen is that 2D screen, which is awesome. But it was an easy transition because I was used to the CTX. But yeah, whatever machine you gotta just learn it, like study it, because you gotta get used to your detector and how it sounds. But one thing that I do with mine is I run mine a little hot. So I'll turn mine up. My like right now, my sensitivity is at a 22. I think normally if you would set this to where it's quiet and not getting a lot of interference, you would probably be at about a 16. But I run mine hot. and I get a lot of interference, a lot of noise when I'm detecting, but I learned just to kind of, I know what my machine sounds like if it's just interference or if it's a good target. But by running it hot like that with the sensitivity turned up, I've gone over areas that had already been detected and was able to find coins that were deeper. All right, where are you? I think this is just a bunch of garbage, but yeah, this is going to be trash because it's right on the surface. Yeah, it is right there. See, my fault for digging it. Good Lord. Oh my gosh. Big old piece of aluminum. See that? Now I gotta haul this thing off. I've got a pile at my house outside my shop of just big old chunks of iron that I pulled out of farm fields, like broken off teeth from plows and tractors and different things like that. So I'm gonna go put this piece of aluminum in the bed of my truck. So yeah, this property is, I gotta figure it out. There's a lot to it because it goes around by this pond is kind of like an L shape. It's here and it goes around, but the property is back there in the woods. It wraps all the way around. So there's, aside from the open and obvious farm field, there's a lot of other land that needs to be explored. There we go. That's a good signal and a good picture on the screen. So that at that number, 88, that could be a quarter. It could be a lot of good things. Silver coins are in that range. But I say we just stick to aluminum, because I am really good at finding aluminum. See that? That is my specialty. Oh well. Don't know till you dig it. Thinking here. Kind of want to go back to the area where I found that musket ball, because it's also the area I found a wheat penny yesterday. It is kind of the edge of the field, which I usually don't like digging because it's where a lot of trash accumulates, but let's go check it out. I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get into this field a little bit more than I was. That's a good signal right there. Looks good on the screen. It sounds deep. It's not very loud. This old plant is in the way. Yeah, it's a good signal. Shows up good on your screen, but it's just not loud, so. Let's dig it. Yeah, it's in the plug here. I had one of those the other day that the signal was so faint. And again, I hear a lot of that stuff with my sensitivity turned up really high, but I mean, there were definitely days that I would have walked past that signal. It was just so faint, and it's like you're questioning, did I even hear anything, or is that just interference? And it ended up being a really cool Williams cleaner bullet from the Civil War, a kind that I had not found before. So, oh, there we go. Check this out. What did I say? This is right where I found that wheat penny. And there we, man, it's not a wheat penny. It's a penny, but it's not a wheat penny. What do we have? 1960. No wheat penny. So what are wheat pennies were 1909 to 1958 is when they made wheat pennies. So this is 2 years newer. There's our wheat penny from yesterday, 1945. Yeah, this is right where I found it. It's right where I found the musket ball. So, yeah, let's kind of hang around here. I don't know why this area would be better than other parts, but so for me, on the Manticore, the Civil War bullets, the big lead bullets, if you had to pick a single number, it would be a 51 for them. But anywhere from, I'd say from between 47 and 57 is the number range where you're going to find those. So I get excited if I'm on Civil War land and I get a loud number in that range. The other thing with filming with my GoPro, it's not an issue when I'm just detecting by myself and I'm recording clips as I find things. But doing a live stream where it's on the whole time, like a battery wouldn't last. I think it would last not even an hour and a half, and it would die. There's something I want to get that I saw. I don't think it's a GoPro brand, but you charge it up. It attaches to your GoPro just with a small wire going to it, cable. But they said it's the equivalent of like 4 batteries. It's a 35. Looks like a decent. Not too deep, but we'll give it a shot. It's right here. What are you? Well, that's not you. Dang it, man. I saw that right there, that edge, and I thought for a second I had a coin. No coin. Aluminum sucks. Yeah, this is just straight up sand right here. It looks like the top was scraped. Man, that'd be really cool to find an arrowhead out here. Being in this sand, it's a whole lot easier to spot them. You know, I could be walking right on top of them out in the field and I'm not going to see them because there's remnants of last year's crops. I'll have to go back and do a live stream. I've got a permission that's not too far from my house that I've pulled out some really cool things from that property. And that's not even detecting the field's been full of soybeans, so that doesn't count the field. That's just detecting around the edges. But I found some really cool things. I need to go back there and do a live stream. I have found a ton of arrowheads in that field. So one cool thing that I found there, it was deep. It was dug underneath the hard pack road that cut in between 2 fields that had been there forever and ever. That same road. But I dug down and I found a musket ball. But this musket ball, based on when I got home and weighed it and measured it and everything, this musket ball was to a Charleville rifle. That is the rifle that the French supplied the Continental Army, the Patriots during the Revolutionary War, was that Charleville rifle. And it's a smaller bore than your standard musket ball. I think it was like a Charleville is like a 63 caliber. But that was super cool. I put that in a little capsule. But nearby that, I think it was a day before I found that musket ball. Probably, well, I'm trying to think, it was like 20 feet away from it. The day before, I had dug an old flat button, and that flat button dates, they started making that flat button in 1680 through the early part of the 1700s. So definitely things that are going to be in that field. Tons of arrowheads, a lot of buttons. I can tell from the workers working those fields, a lot of buttons. Some, I think probably the newest I've found there is, I don't know, it could be from like the 60s. I found two buttons actually, that were from 1915. I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's teaching my sister how to metal detect, and it was in that field. I think it's a good video. I'm going to do a short of it today or tomorrow. I'm going to do a short video on YouTube pointing people towards the longer video. It's good because it's kind of, if you know someone who's new to metal detecting, who's wanting to learn. I filmed the whole thing of me explaining to my sister how to metal detect, and it's not a 2-hour video. It's just giving her a crash course. But I think it's good for someone to watch if they're new. But yeah, she turned around, and that day she was using the Minelab Xterra Pro, which I have, and she found an old lead bale seal. She found one of those buttons back that dates to 1915. I think she found a wheat penny. We'll dig this. 3940. Wire. But yeah, I'm going to keep obviously making videos for YouTube, but I have been trying to figure out this thing with live streams, because I'd like to do more live streams from these really good locations. I think it would be cool to be digging some of these cool relics along with everyone else who's with you on the hunt in real time. Like I said, I tried it, I think starting the week before last or something like that, and it just with the GoPro, trying to use the hotspot of my phone, it was just choppy from the get, and I just had to shut it down. So looking at my screen shows that we've been live for 112 minutes. So let's try to make it to 120, make it a full 2 hours. Sun's going down too. I don't know what YouTube does with the lives. They process it, and it's like usually like 48 hours later. They do something to it. I don't know if they're taking out like parts that are froze up. If you got a bad connection, I don't know. But because I had one live that was, well, by the time they processed it, it had cut like 10 minutes off. Which is fine by me if it cut off sections that were choppy and locked up screen. That's cool with me. Well, this is deep. We'll dig it. Yeah, it sounds deep. 30s range. It's just kind of faint. Still in the hole. I've gotten comments from people about the soil out here. How I'm lucky. A lot of these farm fields, in North Carolina, you get a lot of that. You break through the first section of dirt, and then it's kind of really sandy. And that is super nice to dig. You're not chipping through rocks. There's some rocky areas that we have, but for the most part, we've got soft soil. I'm metal detected in Idaho. I did a lot of gold prospecting in Idaho, but I metal detected there. And not only does the ground freeze in the wintertime, but man, that was like you had to chip through the ground with a pickaxe. So I definitely know that I'm lucky to be able to do most of my digging in soft soil. All right, I don't see anything here. I'm gonna stand back up and swing over this hole and see what I'm missing. Now that's getting into the ferrous range down here at the bottom. It's pulling it into that's going to be a junk iron target. So we'll skip that one. So I definitely have respect for people that are detecting parts of the country out west. Just a lot of areas that have really hard soil and mineralized ground. That's why I said earlier I don't ground balance, because our ground here is not mineralized at all. So I can just do a noise cancel and then start detecting. But out west, you definitely had to stop and ground balance a couple times. going to be aluminum on the surface. So we're at 117 minutes, so we got like 3 minutes left and we'll hit the 2-hour mark. And I think that's going to be perfect timing because the sun is going down. Hope everyone has a good Christmas. Have fun, be safe. And I will probably see you all on Tuesday. I think I'm going to do another live stream from try it from a good Civil War area. See you, Mike. Merry Christmas. All right, I'm going to dig one more. They say you usually find the best stuff at the end of the day walking back to your truck. And honestly, when I'm done and I'm walking back to my truck, I turn off my machine. Because if I don't, this is exactly what's going to happen. As I'm never going to make it back to my truck. I'm going to keep digging. I left my machine on. I was detecting all the way back to my truck a couple months ago. And right when I got to my truck, it was like almost by the back bumper. I dug a target on the Manticore. It was around a 25, which is about where you're going to find nickels. But I dug it. What the heck? This is just an old sharp piece of aluminum, like sheet metal type. Anyhow, I dug this target right next to my truck, and it was probably, 6-8 inches down, and it was a flat button, early 1700s flat button. And I always park my truck there at this permission. So if I had not kept my detector on that day and detected all the way back to my truck, I would not have found that. So, even so, I still usually turn off my detector heading back. See, we just hit the 120-minute mark, so 2-hour live stream. I hope that it was good. I hope the connection was good. You guys have a Merry Christmas, and I will see you guys on Tuesday, hopefully with another live stream from Civil War, let's say Civil War Battleground. So, see you on Tuesday.